Hey, this is Tommy with AldermanFarms. I had a great lunchtime chat yesterday with Amy Fewell of the Fewell Homestead and Homesteaders of America. I've already put up the full-length video of the entire interview, and if you hadn't had a chance to see that, I'll put a card at the end of this video linking right to it. But I had promised to chop up that entire video into segments dealing with single topics. And so in this video, we cover the 2017 Homesteaders of America Conference scheduled for October 14th, 2017 in Warrenton, Virginia. And here it is, coming up next. So back to the conference. We've got in October the 14th. This year it's a one-day conference. I believe I've heard you say that next year it may be two. Is that correct?
Yep. Next year, we're planning on having a 2-day conference that will allow us to structure the tickets differently. And it also allows us to have more speakers over a 2-day time period and have, someone like Joel Salatin speak 4 times a day if we need him to. So this will, a lot of people are already going to be here on Friday. This year's conference is on Saturday, October 14th. Since a lot of people are already going to be here, next year, we thought, well, we might as well just go ahead with a 2-day conference. So this year, 1 day, next year, and hopefully from here on out, 2-day.
Yeah, that's exciting. Let me ask you this. I'm going to come put you on the spot. So if I need to edit this out, we can. I sent you an email regarding, because we're going to be there. I'm going to be there talking about when trauma strikes and dealing with managing critical incident stress on the homestead, because in my law enforcement background, I was a trained critical incident stress debriefer, and it occurred to me that most discussions, or all that I've ever seen, surrounding critical incident stress management is confined to the public safety arena or the military arena. But I'm living proof, look at my face, that trauma can happen on the homestead as well. Critical incidents can happen anywhere in any walk of life. And so I thought that it was a good idea to talk to folks about how to manage critical incident stress. So I had sent you an email asking about the format for my piece. I know you've got speakers, you've got demonstrators, and then I think you've got, well, you tell me about so hang on a second. What I'm doing is running a rabbit right in the middle of my question. So the first thing I want you to do is talk about people on the speakers level. You can say we know Joel's coming, and you've got some other fantastic speakers coming. Talk about who they are. Talk about what the format for them will be. In other words, are they all going to be in one room, one at a time, things like that. And then the next level, for lack of a better term, is the demonstrators. I think you have me on that level with Doug and Stacy and some others.
I actually have you as a speaker.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and I've actually listed Doug and Stacy as a speaker as well.
Okay.
So to start, let's break down the conference facility.
Yeah.
So
do
the way that we have it, the conference facility is where our county fair is held every year. Okay. And so on that property, there are 2 large barn warehouses. To give you a size, it can fit over 100 vendors underneath of it. That's how big it is. Okay. Then there's a large pavilion, and we've had country music singers there, before and filled that pavilion up. And then there is an actual indoor building. It can hold 600 people. But that's shoulder to shoulder. So we're thinking between 400 and 500 people at one time. Our main speakers are, of course, Joel Salatin, Lisa Steele from Fresh Eggs Daily, Esther Emery from fouch-o-matic Off Grid, and she's also the daughter of Carla Emery, who wrote the Encyclopedia of Country Living. And then we have Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and then you guys, and then Darryl Patton, who is actually a master herbalist from down in Alabama. And so we have multiple buildings that we can use at one time. The one thing that I've constantly heard from people who've either attended other conferences throughout the country is, please don't stick us in a room where we can't breathe. And so we plan on not doing that. We are scheduling it, especially for Joel, he'll probably need to speak multiple times throughout the day. That allows people, if they didn't have room to see him, the first hour, they can see him the second hour. The pavilion and the indoor area both can seat hundreds of people. And they both have the option of having a PowerPoint presentation. I actually read your email before I got on here, so I know what you're talking about. And so they have the ability to have PowerPoint presentations and things like that. Now, the pavilion is not actually inside. It's just a covered pavilion, but it still has that ability. The entire facility is electrified, so we can run extension cords and have lights, and demonstrators can hook up a crock pot or something that they need to use. So the way that we are structuring it, there's a lot going into this year. We have our main speakers, which we just listed, and then we have ongoing demonstrators throughout the day. So that is like any other fair or conference that you would go to. Those aren't people that you necessarily have to schedule to see. They are going to be on a schedule. Like we have a friend coming down from Michigan, and he's doing meat rabbits, and he's actually going to do a demonstration on raising them and processing them and all of that. So we have him by himself in one warehouse for the sake of people who might not want to see that process. Yeah. But we have him, choose 3 times in that day that you would want to reach a large crowd. And so we're trying to do the main demonstrations in between each speaker so that people can kind of pick and choose and have something to do, in that 30-minute time frame between speaker engagements. And so there are different things. There's going to be a lot of things going on during the day, and not everything is going to pertain to everybody. So we wanted to have it so that people didn't have to stress out and think, oh my gosh, I have all these 100 things I want to see, and I'm not going to have time to see it. And so we made our demonstrators very diverse. It's not just about gardening or things that would, in general, appease to everyone. But we have like BigBear Homestead. He's going to do trapping and tanning, which might not be something that, Joe down the road is interested in. So he could go to the gardening, demonstration. So you'll have time in between each speaker to go see demonstrators. If you've already seen a speaker that is speaking, and if they're speaking their second time, then you have more time to go see demonstrators. So we've set it up so that people, it really does have to be an all-day event. If you're coming, you need to plan on being there all day. Yeah. But we're also planning it so that you're not having to only have one time to see a speaker or one time to see a demonstrator. Demonstrators are going to be demonstrating all day long. And then the main speakers obviously are our top priority. They're going to have multiple, some of them, not all of them, are going to have multiple times to speak as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know that I'm not sure this can ever be completely resolved, but Patty and I have gone to a handful of huge conferences like the Southern SAWG conference. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
It's the Southern SAWG, Sustainable Agricultural Working Group Conference.
Okay.
And it's massive. And there was this year, it's maybe going on right now in Louisville. We went to the one in Mobile, and it's massive. And the number of topics is just staggering, and the number of presenters is just staggering. And so that's just the example I'm thinking of. But we've been to other conferences where it's the same way, where we don't ever get to go to classes together, because Patty and I, because what we do is we look at the thing, and we sit down each with a list of all the things and circle the ones that we want to go to personally, and compare those notes. And if we've circled some of the same ones, then we flip a coin or something. Okay, you go to that one and I'll go to this one. And there's always still a handful of things that we just can't go to because there's 3 or more going on at the same time that we would like to see.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to avoid. I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, obviously there are some conferences that have to do that. But, when I think about a conference that I would want to go to with my husband, I would want us to learn together, and then come home and say, oh, hey, did you get this from this or did you get that? We have different notes from the same speaker because we learn in different ways. Right. Obviously, I don't think there's a way to completely avoid that, but the way that we're structuring it is we're hoping to avoid a lot of that because if you go to a conference with someone, you want to be with them. That's the whole part of community. You want to be in a class with them. And so that's why we have our main speakers, which everyone obviously wants to see all of them. And then the demonstrators in between, it's going to be an ongoing thing all day long. So you don't have, I know there are other big conferences that have like one speaker, but then that one speaker talks on 5 different topics. And it's kind of like, how do I fit that in? And so we're having our speakers just speak on one topic, the only one, and then having it multiple times throughout the day so that people can hear that topic, whether they heard it the first time or the second time. And then we have one speaker who is doing 2 different topics, but I think he's the only one. So everyone that's coming is speaking on the same thing over and over again. That way, you have the chance to say, okay, well, I have a second chance to see this speaker, so I'm going to go watch this demonstrator do this. Or, I'm going to watch 5 demonstrators do something. So we're structuring it that way this year so that we can kind of get rid of that we have to separate and go our separate ways thing as much as possible.
Good.
I'm sure there'll still be some, but yeah. So and then next year with the 2-day conference, we're still going to try to adapt to that. But I think it'll be easier that way. And because, there's a lot of people who don't want to necessarily stay a whole day either.
Right.
And then to have one speaker speak on 10 different things, it's kind of like, well, which one do I choose to stay for?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're trying to avoid a lot of that.
Well, let me ask you this. Folks who are, if they're viewing this in time to make arrangements and they want to come, is there information on your website about accommodations and where they can get hotel reservations or maybe find a campground?
There are. We actually have a lodging and travel tab on our website. We are working with the local Holiday Inn, who's right there beside the facility. So we have a discount group code with them. Actually, all you have to do is click on the link and it already uses the code for you. Or you can call them and just say you're with the Homesteaders of America group and they give you a discount. We're currently setting up right now in January, some more local hotels that way. And then the campground situation, I'm so bummed because there's not a lot of campgrounds around here. There's a lot up in the mountains, which are about 30 to 40 miles away from Warrenton. But we do have that on there as well. You can actually search. There's a super cool website where you can search campgrounds if you put in the zip code for the conference center. And it'll pop up different ones around. So all that information is on there.
That's not too bad. In your area of the country, does 30 to 40 miles away mean 30 to 40 minutes?
Basically. Yeah. It's a straight stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's not that bad. I wouldn't, we ended up doing something else. We ended up using some of our points. We decided not to pull our travel trailer that far because it's like over 1,000 miles. And
right.
Yeah. So, but I had enough points in one of my hotel categories from my real job that we get to keep. I'm not stealing points from the company. That's policy. We get to keep our own points.
Right.
And so we'll be staying a little down the road. But when we thought about bringing the camper, we were looking at some of those campgrounds that are 30, 40. I think we looked at one that was 50 miles away. But that's doable, especially if you're talking about a one-day conference.
Right.
If you had to do that for 4 days, it might get a little tedious. But what's 45 minutes?
And it's all country out here. You don't really get into city and interstate highways until you get closer to Northern Virginia. From Warrenton down south, it's all just countryside and farmland, and then out where I am towards Culpeper is mountains and stuff. So the highways are really straight stretches, and it doesn't take that long to get to where you want to go. So,
well, what about there are going to be some people who this conference is on October 14th of 2017. There are going to be some people watching this video on October 13th, 2017,
right?
Who may live in California. So they can't get there. What will you have in place, if anything, for folks who, for whatever reason, cannot attend this year, but they're interested in the information that's being shared?
Right. So the way that we're planning on setting it up is super exciting for a lot of people. We're planning on hiring a local videographer. And he's actually going to record all of the main speakers and then some of the demonstrators in between. Now, the people who attended the conference will most likely get a discount code, and they'll just get that information and the clips and stuff along with their tickets that they bought, obviously after the conference.
Sure.
But for people who want to attend or want to see the speakers and learn, we'll have all of that compiled into either a flash drive or an online download that they can actually purchase. So it'll be a minimal fee. I mean, it's not going to be hundreds of dollars or anything. It's probably going to be about the same as the ticket price would be. And then they can purchase that and watch it forever. They can watch it whenever they want to. They can go back and reference back to it, which is the best part, because it's even good for people who attend and say, well, I remember them talking about this, but I don't quite remember what happened.
Right.
And so, yeah, and that happens a lot. And then you don't have the option to go back and hit rewind and like YouTube and figure it out. And so this will be a great option for people who are far away. And there are a lot of people who want to come that just can't. And I understand that. I mean, I'm one of those people who really can't go far away to conferences. Sure. And so we will have that option online. It'll be probably a month or so after the conference before it goes live.
Very good. Well, now that you mentioned that, the Southern SOG, for example, did that very same thing. We walked away with, they're huge, so they were able to do this before you left there.
Right.
We walked away with a branded flash drive.
Oh, wow.
That had everything in it, and everything. And Patty and I have gone back to that thing, I don't know how many times. And
right.
It's been a nice resource that we've looked back at time and time again. So yeah. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, that was kind of one of our stipulations when we started, because we knew so many people weren't going to be able to come. So we went ahead and decided to just absorb that expense as much as possible.
Well, is there anything else that you need our viewers to know about the Homesteaders of America Conference, first one, right out of the chute, in October 2017, that perhaps we haven't touched on?
I forgot to mention we are having a question and answer time with our speakers, which a lot of people have requested. And so we're going to do that. It's not going to be a long time. It's probably only going to be 30 to 45 minutes. But people will actually have the opportunity to sit down with our speakers and ask them questions, whether it's related to their lecture or whether it's just something in general that they have a question about, as long as it's homesteading related. Obviously, now we haven't organized that to figure out how to keep track of that. But it'll be a great opportunity to further community and really get down to earth with these people that you're learning from. So we're putting that in place and organizing that now. And then I'm trying to think. I don't think there's too much more. The ticket structure is going to be a little bit different this year. We do have, some people are getting confused. We have a general admission pass. That's probably going to be used by a lot of locals who just want to be nosy and drop by and see what's going on. That's $25, and that just gets you in and sees the demonstrators and the outdoor demonstrators and speakers and vendors. And then the regular ticket is the $40 ticket, and that guarantees that you're going to see every speaker. So you're not going to have to fight for a seat. You know, if we have 5,000 people come, that you're not going to be fighting for a space to see these people. That gets you in to see them. And then obviously it covers general admission as well. So you get to walk around and see the food vendors and see the outdoor demonstrators. So right now on our website, we only have the speaker ticket up, because that's obviously what people are going to want anyhow, since it's the whole shebang. And then closer, probably in September, we'll make the general admission ticket go live. Okay,
very good. And I think there's been a recent development on quote-unquote children's admission.
Yes. Yeah, we were having a hard time figuring out. At first we had 12 and under were free, but we really want our younger generations to be involved. And there are so many homesteaders who have kids that have to bring them. And as a homesteader, it can get expensive to travel across state and then have to pay for 5 tickets, you know. So youth and children 17 and under are free.
That's awesome.
And they do need a free child ticket. And this is just so we can keep track of everyone. That way we can make sure we're not over our fire code for each building.
Sure.
But otherwise, all children 17 and under are free.
Very good. So does that mean that when they go to the website to buy their tickets, there'll be options for, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to the ticket website, it'll have probably just two options for now. It'll have the free child ticket, and then it'll have the speaker ticket. Now there's a discount, obviously, if you buy 2 or more speaker tickets. So you'll see that option as well.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to
You're welcome.
to chat
Thanks for
with
having me.
Oh, you bet. And there's a long time between now and then, so we may do it again, especially if any new developments crop up. I know you're probably hoping there aren't any new developments. Probably.
We have people emailing us daily. We do have some new demonstrators that'll probably come in, but those are just going to be all-day people. They're not going to be,
Right.
Again, it's not going to pertain to everybody. So, yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. We are chomping at the bit. We've got it circled on our calendar and just can't wait to.
And it's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah,
So.
I know how that works. Time does fly especially when you get old like me. It goes by just faster than you can even blink, But anyway, I got a lot of necks I need to hug when I get there. So
right,
and you need to set up selfie stations so we can take selfies with our viewers and whatnot. And we just can't wait. I mean, I can't wait to present because I know it's going to be helpful. But I just can't wait to meet and shake hands and hug the necks of people who take time out of their day to watch what we have to say on YouTube.
Right.
So
yeah. And they feel the same way about you is the thing. I mean, we have people, that is what people are coming for. And obviously they're coming to learn, but it has literally become the event of the year for these homesteaders to come to and just to meet with the people that they watch or interact with on a daily or weekly basis. So.
Yeah. It's so cool. I'm looking forward to it. Well, thank you, Amy. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Awesome. You too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. And listen, in the comments section, if you've got any specific questions about the Homesteaders of America as an organization or about the first annual conference that'll take place in October 2017, that's this year, then let us know. And I'll get those to Amy, and perhaps we'll do a second Skype call where she can address your specific questions. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to our channel if you hadn't already. And if there's anybody you know that needs to know about this conference or the Homesteaders of America as an organization, share this video. We would appreciate it, and I know Amy would too. Thanks.